longest job that I've had at the paper, I've been the food critic for the paper. I've been the food critic now for 13 years. Oh yeah, no. In fact, I could just eliminate all the politics and we could just talk about restaurants in Orange County for the next 5 hours and I would not tire of it. That's the one, because obviously the OC Weekly is controversial in what we tackle, in what we tackle and what we cover, but when it comes to food, everyone needs to eat. I once had the former mayor of Placentia, who I got kicked out of office, just yelling at me nonstop. And then he stopped and said, but you know what's the worst thing about you? I have to read you every week because I want to know where to go eat the following week. I hate you for that. So it's very easy to deride Taco Bell, which is nowadays, of course, based in Irvine. But at one point, people thought Taco Bell was authentic. The tacos that everyone dismisses, they're hard-shelled tacos, no one eats hard-shelled tacos. In my book, I discovered how Taco Bell was invented. Basically, the founder, Glenn Bell, yes, there is a bell behind Taco Bell. Glenn Bell opened up a restaurant in San Bernardino, a little hot dog stand, right across the street from a Mexican restaurant. And so, this is in 1951, so every night after closing up shop, he'd go across the street to this Mexican restaurant, eat those tacos, and then go back to his place and try to reverse engineer these tacos. How exactly did they do it? Eventually, the owners of the other restaurant, they one day he's right there eating the tacos, so they go up to him and say, look, you've been eating here for months, and we know exactly what you're trying to do. You're trying to steal our tacos. Well, if you're gonna steal our tacos, at least do it right. Let us, come with us, let's go back into our kitchen, and we'll show you how to make those tacos right. And I'm not making this up, by the way. Glenn Bell admits this whole story in his book with the great title, Taco Titan, the Glenn Bell story. Admits all of it. What bothered, and the fact that he stole somebody's tacos, honestly, doesn't bother me because unfortunately, if you know anything about the restaurant industry, it's the most ruthless industry imaginable. People rip each other off like no other. I mean, there was Wahoo's right here. They have the little truck. They were the ones who, popularized fish tacos in Orange County. And how many people ripped off Wahoo's after that? It goes on. It goes on like that. So, but what bothered me though is that Glenn Bell never named the restaurant. If you're gonna rip someone off, at least credit them, So, in the course of my research, I found the restaurant. It's still there in San Bernardino, has never moved. It's called Meat La Cafe. It's the oldest Mexican restaurant in the Inland Empire. It's been open since 1937. And so I went to the owner. The owner, she's a daughter-in-law of the original founder. She's now in her 70s. I asked her, is it true that Glenn Bell stole your family's recipes? She's like, oh yeah, I remember him. We used to make fun of him when he'd be in the kitchen because he'd always scald his hands in the lard that we would use to make the hard-shell tacos. And then I told her, well, how does it make your family feel that Glenn Bell ended up opening $1 billion empire based on your family's heritage? And she's like, it's okay. His restaurant's been open for 50 years. We've been around 77. And besides, our tacos are better tasting anyway. And those tacos, by the way, come from a recipe from where the founders came from, Jalisco. Has not been changed since 1937. And you see that taco, it's exactly like a Taco Bell taco. Hard shell, except they fry their tacos fresh. They don't have the prefabricated shell. So my book, not only tries to track down all the pioneers of Mexican food in this country. So I interviewed the founders of Tapatio. They're based out of Vernon, created in Maywood. I found out that Doritos, we all love Doritos. Doritos were actually invented by Mexicans at Disneyland back in the early 1960s. The margarita, which is now America's most popular cocktail, it didn't start becoming popular in earnest until mid-60s and onward because that corresponded with the rise of restaurants like El Torito. Before that, Mexican food was very informal. You go to a restaurant, you get your tacos, maybe you get your enchiladas, you eat, and then you get out, no alcohol. With the rise of El Torito, the founder, by the way, Larry Cano, he still lives here in Orange County in Balboa. He's now in his 90s, but still just amazing, amazing guy. Right across the street, you have El Chinaco, the amazing Salvadoran place that has its own interesting history, fighting Alan Mansour and those fools way back when. Let's see, if we're here, then you go down West 19th, you have one of my favorite spots, Taqueria El Granjenal. Awesome, awesome taqueria, which is an interesting history. El Granjenal, it was named that because there's a lot of people from the state of Michoacan who come from a village, from a town called El Granjenal, and they historically lived up in Santana. One of those people ended up opening up El Granjenal right there. Awesome for many, many years. Then they sold it off to some other Mexicans, and the quality of the food just declined. I did not eat there for years, and I was heartbroken just because we used to go there all the time. And then like, I want to say 3 or 4 years ago, a Korean couple bought it. And you think, what do Koreans know about Mexican food? Well, they made the food, they put it right back up to where it was. The best thing about El Gran Canal, their horchata, they put chocomil on top of it. Basically the Mexican version of quick. They put it, just give it that little chocolate flavor. On our Stick a Fork in It blog, I just posted a link of where to find the best tamales in Orange County for this season. I do it every year because around this time, that's when people start asking me questions about it. Here, you know, the famous place, of course, El Toro Bravo, right down on West 19th for their tamales. If you want to try Salvadoran tamales, just right across the street. You know, if you're vegan or you can't eat pork for, you know, religious purposes, then obviously you're not going to eat it. But otherwise, why not? You should eat it a little bit. And yes, you can actually make vegetarian or even vegan tamales, and they're actually pretty good. Maybe they advertise it not selling lard, especially here in Orange County where you do have a lot of vegetarians and vegans, to appeal to that audience.